Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to each and every one of you. Hello. Welcome to Monday Morning Affirmations. My name is Stephen Dillard Carroll, and this is your affirmation for the week of September 14th, 2020. I forgot to say last week, and so I will say it at the top of the show this week. I do private readings. I do private psychic readings. If you would like a reading of your own from me, that's private, confidential, and one-on-one, there is a link in the description box down below. Please check that out. Now that I got that out of the way, oh, by the way, I forgot to say this as well. Last week, I have to train myself to say this every time. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Yes, so that is out of the way. I need to train myself to say that every time, but you know, I'm much more about the affirmations and lifting you up than I am about perhaps the business of this, and maybe I should find a happy balance somewhere. So, what is Monday Morning Affirmations? For those of you who are new to the channel, we start out with the Tarot. Again, we're using the Ghosts and Spirits Tarot. We'll pull a card, and based upon that particular card, I probably have a story of some sort that is connected to the card, and I will share that story with you. And then we'll get to the affirmation, which is the bulk of this particular channel. I'm here to uplift you. I'm here to sometimes challenge you, but mostly to encourage you, to uplift you, to educate you, to inspire you, to give you a little bit of hope and be your personal cheerleading section for whatever good and positive endeavors you have going on in your life. So let's jump right on into it. Our affirmation for this week is brought to us by the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands, and it's in the reverse position. You know, please look these up on Google Images. I just don't know if they're coming through very well on my camera, especially with the Ghosts and Spirits Tarot, because there is so much detail in this particular tarot deck. It's actually a beautiful, beautiful deck. So look this up on Google Images because it really is beautiful. The Six of Wands. I like this interpretation of the Six of Wands because it denotes success. But not only that, it denotes help from ancestors to get you on your way. Probably about a year ago, I would say. Maybe even a little, no, it's been way longer than that. Probably a year and a half ago. Yeah, probably about a year and a half ago. I was doing pendulum work. Pendulum work, for those of you who don't know, if you get a pendulum and you hold it very, very lightly in between your thumb and index finger, you've got this long string and with the pendulum on the bottom of it, and you allow it to stay still. You can ask the universe yes or no questions, and if the answer is yes, it'll, you know, the pendulum will actually start swinging on its own. In one direction. For me, it's usually forward and back is usually a yes answer. And for me, if it's a no answer, it usually swings left to right or right to left. It usually goes that way. And for me, if it's a maybe question, it does a circular motion. It's really cool. Anybody can actually do that. I encourage everyone to actually pick up a pendulum, and you can even create your own. You can tie a paper clip to the end of a string and do it that way, or you can go to any metaphysical store and they will have a pendulum for you there. Or again, if you're a broke bitch like me, you can actually create your own. Just get a tiny piece of string, maybe that long, and tie a paper clip to the end of it, and start asking questions of it. And it was during this pendulum work that I started talking to my ancestors, which was not something that I had planned on doing. It was just something that ended up happening. They just showed up, and I gave them space to show up, and I gave them space to sit down and talk to me. And it started with yes or no questions, and eventually it evolved into me learning a lot about my particular ancestry. And what am I trying to say? I'm sorry, I just lost my thought. My doing this kind of work, doing spiritual work, being spiritual leaders, even though I hate that word, if you're going to call me a spiritual leader, that's on you to make that distinction. I'm just, I'm a servant. But I am from a long line of servants. I'm from a very, very long line of servants. In fact, my ancestors told me that in Africa, my lineage, we were the shamans of the village. We were the medicine people of the village. We were the nurses, the midwives, the doctors, the spiritual leaders of the village. And during the course of slavery, that was beaten out of us. Not all the way, but it was beaten out of us, but yet that spiritual lineage has passed on, and it's passed on to me. I don't know. I haven't checked with any of my relatives. When I talked to my ancestors, they were very, very focused on me and, my mother, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, that part of the lineage. And so they weren't concerned so much about my extended family as they were about, my particular lineage. And my mother has told me that my great-grandmother was the midwife of. She was a midwife for the people that needed her services. As you probably could guess, after slavery, lots of services were not available to us, and if they were available, we had to travel long, long distances in order to get to medical services that would welcome Black people. Anyway, she was a midwife. She knew the old ways, the old remedies. She knew all of that because it was passed down to her from her mother, who was a slave until she was 8. Ancestors don't ding me on that, but I believe that is the case. My great great grandmother, I believe, was actually a slave until she was 8, and so it was passed on to my great grandmother, who passed it on to my grandmother, who passed it on to my mother. It was that lineage, and not only that, but the whole psychic thing was passed on as well. My mother, for instance, was given this particular gift, and she refused it, actually. And so it was passed on to me. I think my dad is psychic as well. He doesn't talk about it, but I believe he is psychic as well. Anyway, it was passed on down to me. And so I do a mixture of the new way, and as time goes on, I'd like to incorporate more and more of the old way as well. And I'll do that with the help of my ancestors. Now, bringing it back to our affirmation for the week, I guess my affirmation for you this week is to say, if you want to connect to your ancestors, whether it be, people who have just passed over, or people who have passed over, years and years and millennia ago, those ancestors are always there. They're always there to help. They're always there to listen. They're always there to guide. And especially if you happen to be African American, or any person of color, I would say it's important to connect to your ancestors. It is so very important to connect, because many of the old ways were taken away from us through slavery, or through colonization, or Native American children were sent off to boarding schools, and all of that. And I don't want to get too deep into that. If you are a person of color living anywhere on this planet, you know what I'm talking about. And so it's important to connect, because there's information to be learned. There's information to be had. There are old ways that can actually be incorporated into our new way of being here in the 21st century. And so we've gone way over 10 minutes here, but I'll leave you with this. If you want to connect to your ancestors, a really easy way to do that is to light a candle and have a little bit of food, have a little bit of water, maybe something to drink, maybe some tobacco if you know that that is a part of your lineage, and say this is an open space for any ancestors of love and light to enter and to stay. If you are an ancestor of unconditional love and light, you are welcome here. If you are an ancestor of unconditional love and light that would like to start a conversation with me, you are welcome here. And then sit back and listen. You'll be amazed. It might not happen right away, but eventually it will happen for you. And that's it. We are way over our 10 minutes. I encourage you to reach out to your ancestors. They are always there for you. Have a blessed, blessed, blessed week. And I will see you here next week. Bye.